Well, I would suggest to you, if you're a individual American citizen and you're looking at criminal charges being brought by the United States government with all of the vast resources available to the government, it strikes me as disproportionate and one that is basically being used inappropriately to try to bully someone into pleading guilty to something that strikes me as rather minor. But I would appreciate it if you would respond to my letter in writing, dated January the 18th. I know Senator Grassley listed a number of other letters that your department has not responded to, but would you commit to responding to that letter and answering the questions in writing?
We will get responses to that letter. I think the letter will probably encapsulate what I have just said in terms of how we viewed the case and how we thought it could be appropriately resolved.
Well, I want to make sure you've done a thorough investigation into the matter and you're not just speaking off the cuff.
No, it's not off the cuff. It's not off the cuff.
So you have done a thorough investigation of this matter?
I think a good examination has been done. The prosecutors were talked to, the U.S. attorney was talked to, and people in the department were responsible for those inquiries.
Well, one of the reasons I'm skeptical is because, of course, you're well aware with the prosecution of Senator Ted Stevens, and you yourself decided that the prosecutors in that case overreached, withheld information that would have been exculpatory, that should have been divulged under the rules of ethics. And I'm concerned that that average citizens, if you can call them that, like Aaron Schwartz, people who don't have status or power, perhaps in dealing with the federal government, could be bullied. And obviously, we've seen even members of the United States Senate, like Ted Stevens, have been on the receiving end of prosecutorial misconduct, and that was a conclusion you yourself reached in that case, correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that the level, what we did in that case, in Stevens' case, was not consistent with the high standards that I expect of people who work in the Justice Department. But I think that's also an example, as well as the numbers that I've shared with you with regard to Mr. Schwartz's case, of how this department conducts itself and where we make mistakes, what we do to try to correct them. As long as I'm Attorney General and as long as this information is brought to my attention, I will not hesitate to do what I did, for instance, in the Stevens matter.
Yeah, and I respect that. Unfortunately, in both cases, both of these men are dead, and it's hard to make recompense to someone after they're dead. So I know that we're going to be taking up some various gun legislation, and you've spoken to that some. And I just want to ask you, first of all, I have a copy of a speech that you gave to the Women's National Democratic Club, January the 30th, 1995, and I want to quote it and ask you if this is a correct quote. You said it's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way. Is that a correct quote?
It's that part is, but it's taken out of context. What I was talking about was young black men who have all kinds of images thrown at them. At that time, Washington, D.C. was the murder capital of the country. And I was talking about young black guys who see movies, television stuff that glorifies the use of guns, the possession of guns. And what I said is that we need to counter those images, and I use the term brainwash, to get these young black guys to think differently about the possession and use of guns.
Congress gave every administration the authorization to use military force against al-Qaeda. We didn't exempt the homeland, did we?
No, I don't think we did.
Wouldn't that be kind of crazy to exempt the homeland, the biggest prize for the terrorists, to say, for some reason, the military can't defend America here in an appropriate circumstance?
No, I think that's right. The question, obviously, is what forces do we use, but I think we have that authority.
And I totally agree with you that the likelihood of capture is very high in America, and that we have a lot of law enforcement agencies available, and that we would put them out front. But certainly, most law enforcement agencies I know of don't have Patriot missile batteries. So that's a good example of where the military can provide capacity to protect the homeland against a terrorist act that law enforcement can't.
And that would be the rare case, but it was in the letter that I sent to Senator Paul. It's one of the reasons why I reference September the 11th.
Let's go back in time. What would we all give to have those Patriot missile batteries available on September the 10th, 2001 in New York and Washington? It would have meant that we'd have lost a plane load of American citizens, but we'd save thousands more. That's the world in which we live in. And I want to stand by you and the president to make sure that we don't criminalize the war and that the commander-in-chief continues to have the authority to protect us all. And I've got a lot of my colleagues who are well-meaning, but there is only one commander-in-chief in our Constitution. Do you agree with that?
Well, that's true. And the situation that you described on September the 11th was, I guess, among the most difficult decisions that President Bush, Vice President Cheney had to make to give that order.
And
but
I
think
hope
it was
you're
appropriate.
never put in that position, but I want you to know from Senator Graham's point of view that you have the authority, in my view, from the Constitution, the authorization to use military force to take such actions. And I know you will if put in that position. Now,